Hope you guys are having a good summer so far. And in this lesson, I wanted to talk about some ideas about how to continually improve as a guitar player and as a musician. And it can be common for us to get stuck in certain ruts, and we can feel like we're not improving and not really getting anywhere with our playing. So I'm just going to highlight a few ideas that might be helpful for you. I know they are for me, and these are ideas that you can really take and use for the rest of your life, really. And I have a list here of some ideas I wanted to make sure to get to. One of the things that's important is to have stuff that you're working on that's fun. A lot of times people look at practicing as something that's boring, not interesting, and usually just something to avoid. And we end up just kind of sitting around noodling and just kind of rehashing stuff we already know. So it's important to figure out how to make the practicing fun. And at the beginning of the video there, I was just improvising with a topic that I've been working on, one of the many topics I've been working on, or concepts I've been working on for a while, and that is over a chord. So in that case, it was a G7 chord. I'll take a different seventh chord and improvise with it. So that was what was I thinking there? I was thinking B major 7 sharp 11 over G7, which gives you this exotic kind of altered sound. Anyways, so I was practicing it in a musical way. And to me, if you take a concept and practice it in a way that's creative, that's fun, because it's fun to create. And if you're interested in making music, then there it is. You're taking care of two things at one time. You're working on a specific concept that you don't already have in your playing, and you're working on it in a creative way. And to me, that's kind of the center of the bullseye. If you're having fun, again, fun, it's fun to make music. If you're making music and you're working on a specific concept, that's to me, like I said, the center of the bullseye. And so I have this big list that I wrote out here of, I have the seventh chords, the common kind of seventh chords on this list here, and then right next to them I have various seventh chords to improvise with, to superimpose over those basic seventh chords to create different sounds. And which leads me to the kind of another aspect, which is something like this I'll work on for months. Sometimes we're told to practice a certain thing, or maybe a list of things, and we think, oh, I got to get that together right away. But nobody does. Actually, a lot of this information, not all of it, but a lot of it I've explored in the past, and I'm just revisiting it now. It's probably been years since I've actually gotten around to doing this again. And there's so many benefits that I get from doing this, which I'll elaborate on at some point. But, this, like I said, I'll work on this for months. And I think that's a really important aspect of improving, is not feeling like you have to get this stuff together right away. I'll continue working on this until I get bored with it, basically. It's after, I think I've been doing this for about 2 months. And I've explored most of them, if not all of them. And I'll continue to practice this concept or this topic, along with, I have dozens of other topics I'm practicing. Like I said, until it's not as intriguing to me. And so picking stuff that's intriguing to you. I've said this in at least one of my other videos about having stuff that is interesting to you and intriguing and seductive, because there's so many aspects of music to get to, and no one guitar player, if you just think of your favorite guitar player or musician, none of them have it all together. Nobody can play every style. Nobody can play, all that is possible with music. And I can list, take someone like really anybody, Steve Vai, great guitar player, right? I mean, he can't play flamenco guitar. He can't play jazz guitar. There's so many things that he can't do, but he specializes, and I think that's really what you want to kind of shoot for, is specialization. And it took me a long time. It took me some years to figure that out for myself, as far as what I wanted to do musically, because I like a lot of different kinds of music, and so for me to limit myself in what I want to do took a while. So yeah, so just zoning in on things that are really intriguing to you and seductive, because that's what's gonna that's sort of the fire. That's sort of the thing that's going to keep you wanting to do it. Is the fact that it is interesting to you. Which is connected to the love of it. If you, to me, like doing what I was just doing there at the beginning of the video, that's really fun. And I love playing the guitar like all of us, and so I want to do it. And it's not boring at all. It's really interesting. And so yeah, just picking stuff that that keeps you intrigued, and that's the love of it. It's sitting down and exploring and thinking about it and listening and all that stuff. It's just it's a fun thing to do. And one of the things that guitar players typically don't use enough is a metronome and something to record yourself onto. I was using my looper there, and that's been a fairly new addition to my practicing tools. But the main practicing tool that I've used for years is a metronome and something to record myself onto. So this is a really important part of getting better, and continually getting better, is working on your time. And this is something to elaborate on more, but just wanted to mention that if you can get yourself to practice with a metronome and record yourself practicing with a metronome, and when I say practice, again, I'm talking about making music. That thing I was just doing up there, I would record myself doing that and then listen to it and critique it. And that's when you can really become your own teacher, is when you can listen to yourself recorded and then make observations about it and tweak it. And so the time thing, I'm still, even today, earlier today, I was listening to stuff I had done last night, and I noticed I was rushing in certain spots, like little 16th note ideas that I was playing, and I was kind of rushing the time a little bit. And I've been working with the metronome for a long, long time, and and I've been told I have great time by some of the great musicians alive today. But there's still moments when I don't have control of it, because I get, like anybody else, I get caught up in a musical idea, and the metronome kind of drifts into the background a little bit because I'm so absorbed in listening to what I'm playing. And in terms of getting better with your time, you really have to listen to the metronome. And this is just an important part of what glues everything together. And the metronome is just not used enough, I don't think, in a creative way. Like what I was just doing up there up front, I would do that with the metronome as well. And if you're, I'm not talking about with the metronome doing this. I'm talking about taking that same thing there and going. I'm talking about doing something like that, where I just limited myself to this, and and worked on it in a musical way. I was making melodies and rhythms while working on the time and working on technique, and all these kind of musicianship stuff are being worked on in the context of the metronome. And then I would listen to myself and critique it and that kind of thing. And this is going to lead me to the last aspect here. I'm noticing this lesson's going a while, just kind of winging it here, but is limitation. Limitation equals expansion. And so this is a really, really critical part of continually getting better, is limiting yourself in all sorts of ways. If you think about the 12-note chromatic scale, that's something that gets reduced down to 5 notes a lot of times. Of course, as we know, the pentatonic scale, that's a 5-note scale. So that's a limitation from the 12-note chromatic scale. And then you think about which key that's in. So in this case, it's G. So G minor pentatonic. So that's a 5-note scale in a specific key. And then you set the metronome, which is another limitation. And then, there's just limitations. And the more you can kind of pile on limitations, that's going to help you to zone in and work on specific things. And that's going to help you to get better, especially if you're listening back to what you've recorded and critiquing it. Because if you can make the first little octave of the major scale or the first octave of the pentatonic scale, just that little limitation right there in time, if you can make that sound good, imagine what you can do with all the other scales or arpeggios or chords or whatever else. Because whatever weakness you have in your musicianship, you can work on it in the context of a little octave. Yeah. So I hope you guys found some of these ideas helpful. These are definitely things that I continually have in my practicing routine, and I'm always thinking about and always trying to fine tune and tweak these things. Always trying to find stuff that's fun and intriguing. More ideas to get to in future lessons. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, I'd really appreciate it if you would. And the videos on here are always going to be free. Of course, it's YouTube. I'm going to always upload free videos. And I really want to avoid ads and using Patreon. I know some YouTubers use Patreon. But some people have suggested that they would donate if I had a donation button on my channel for all these lessons. So if you find these lessons helpful, I do have a PayPal account. Any donation is appreciated. As anybody knows, it's getting harder and harder to be a professional musician, and I really want to continue to upload videos. And it'd be great if at some point I can do this more often and put out lessons continually. And but I just can't afford to do that. I have to make a living as anyone else does. So anything from $1 to however much, $5, $10, $20, whatever you're willing to donate. The address is tysongraf@yahoo.com. So again, PayPal. And, like I said, I want to avoid any external sources like, ads or using Patreon or any other external site. Anyways, guys, I'm going to continue to upload lots more videos and hopefully help you guys out. And I appreciate your support. And all right, guys, I'll talk to you soon in a video to come. All right, thanks.